Philadelphia playing Kansas City, the Super Bowl rematch. What a Monday Night Football game tonight. And we are going to break that game down in total. Bryan Leonard will be joining us. He's going to tell you how to bet the total. Andrew McInnis at the end of the show will tell you how to bet a prop bet. And maybe along the way, we'll sneak out a side or two. Ohio State, Michigan. We're going to be discussing that as well. Bryan Power joining us as the middle guest. You're watching WagerTalk Today, the best daily sports betting show on the planet. It's Monday. Bryan Leonard right off the bat. Bryan, I'm excited to have you here. How you doing? How was your weekend, my friend?
I'm doing well. Last week I was on the show and I put out two plays that I thought the line was going to move. I believe they moved 6 points combined, so it worked out very well. Unfortunately, as much as the Miami line moved, he still didn't get there. The Raiders surprised a lot of us, I think, by keeping that pretty close. But yeah, really nice weekend. A lot of tough luck. I think I lost 3 games by half a point, so it's one of those things. But still, I think I handicapped very well, and I still was able to win for clients. So it's a good weekend. I'll take it.
Yeah, when you have 3 half-point losers in one weekend and you still come away with a profit, you've done something right over the course of the last couple of days. Let's get right into some Monday Night Football analysis, Bryan. Obviously, the most anticipated Monday night game of the year, Super Bowl rematch, Super Bowl 38-35 shootout, yet the money here is coming for the under. Right now, look at the WagerTalk Live odds screen. It's a mix. There are 2.5s with juice. For Kansas City, 2.5 minus 15, 2.5 minus 20. There are also 3 starting to pop up on the Chiefs. Total here sitting in the 45.5 range. There are some 46s out there. What do you want to do in the Super Bowl rematch on Monday Night Football?
Yeah, not only was it the Super Bowl rematch, it was one of the best big games played in quite some time. Usually the Super Bowl is a little bit depressing. You get all excited, and last year was a terrific game. Despite being in different conferences, these two know each other very well. Let's face it, nobody breaks down an opponent more than a team who's playing in the national championship game. So even though they're not in the same conference, the second time they played in this amount of time, and I'm sure they thoroughly went over each other going into that game there. Chiefs don't have quite the passing attack they've had in recent seasons, but they still have the best signal caller in football. While Mahomes has had some problems with interceptions this year, the Chiefs are a league best in avoiding sacks, number 1 in the NFL in keeping their quarterback upright. And if you remember back for the Super Bowl, Mahomes really tore up his ankle before that, and that was the major concern going into the Super Bowl last year was his health and his being able to move around. So the running game for Kansas City has been a little bit mediocre this year. But the passing game has been very good. Philadelphia in yards per carry ranks 21st, but 7th in passing yards per play offensively. So I'm going to make a recommendation for the under, but yet I prefer both passing games compared to the running games in this game. On the other side of the ball, the Eagles defend the rush very well. They rank number 1 in rushing yards per game. But keep in mind, this is a team that normally takes the lead, and the opposition does not run the football. If you take a look at them per yards per carry, the Eagles are good. They're just not great like they are in yards per game. When facing a team with a better offense, the Eagles are still good, but not as dominant. The Chiefs rank 4th in the NFL in defensive yards per game, 5th in passing yards per contest, which is pretty impressive when you consider the opposition is mostly playing from behind. That's the big difference here between these two here. The Kansas City defense, I think if you were to take a look at the offenses and defense for both these teams, sure, the offenses will step back a little bit, especially for Kansas City maybe. But the Kansas City defense is so much better now than it was last year when these two teams met. We look for the defenses to control the pace with the game being lower scoring here. From a side standpoint, I'm really surprised this game hasn't gone to 3 across the board. Your common knowledge is the AFC is the better league. In fact, if you're going to bet AFC against NFC, right now, you're probably laying 3 or higher. These are the best 2 teams in my regard here. There's other teams that are right up there with them, but I expected this 2.5 to go to 3. But I like the under here. You mentioned it, Teddy. not only was the first matchup high-scoring game, this line here, I believe, opened at like 47.5, 48, and been bet down pretty severely, 3 points. So the wise guys who bet early in the week are playing this under, and I hate to make overall judgments, but we all know how the primetime games have done this year. A lot of unders compared to overs. Don't know if that has anything other than random variance, but I look for this game to be under. I like the defenses this year.
So here's my question, Bryan, and it really comes down to this total. All right. Last year in the Super Bowl, we saw the total in the 52 range. They finished with 73 points. The red zone execution was there. Both teams that were in third and shorts, they were looking for it on third downs. The type of things that you expect to see in a 73-point game. Now we're talking about a game that has to finish, 4 touchdowns lower than the one that we saw in February for it to cash, for the under to cash. We're seeing a total that's a full touchdown lower than the touchdown in the Super Bowl when these two teams met. Has the betting market caught up with the defensive acumen of the Chiefs this year? Is this total a notch or two too low? At 48.5, I'm with you. At 45.5, I don't know if I get there. See what I'm saying?
Well, it is over the 44.5. 44.5, I think is still a good bet. Keep in mind, last year, Kelsey killed the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Philadelphia did bring in a gentleman who I can't think of his name offhand, but he brought him in a few weeks ago, and he defends tight ends better than just about anybody out there. That's something they didn't have last year. And I think Philadelphia had learned that they can't go into this game with the players they had. They had to go out and get somebody to slow down Kelsey. And Kelsey's a big part of this Kansas City offense. Where Kelsey goes, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I would assume that if Kelsey has so many catches or so many yards, most of the games that Kansas City doesn't lose. You shut down Kelsey, I think you shut down this team, and and the Philadelphia running defense against the run is very good. So yes, I understand that. But keep in mind, the Super Bowl is the last game of the season. You're not going to see that team again. And once you get to the playoffs, it's usually that way where the teams take the foot off. They don't take the foot off the gas. During the regular season, if Kansas City's got a 21-point lead here, they're not going to try to embarrass Philadelphia in case they have to play them again in the Super Bowl. So that's one of the things. The playoff games, to me, have more points scored because you just take the foot off and you got to get to the next week, because if you lose, you're out. Well, if either of your teams lose, it doesn't make a difference really, because they're both be going to the playoffs. So I understand your opinion on that, but I think the offenses are not quite as good as last year, and the defenses are better, which is why we're seeing this line here at 45.5.
Bryan Leonard joining us, everyone. And Bryan, real quick question. You did make mention, AFC playing NFC, line is, 3 points, so to speak. And me, you, and Teddy were talking earlier about this New York Giants, New England game. Is that why the New England Patriots are favored by 3.5 against the New York Giants? Is it simply an AFC, NFC thing? Because that is one of the most baffling lines I've seen in a while.
I have not given that much of a look, but I will say the look ahead for next week, even with Philadelphia playing 1 day later than Buffalo, Philadelphia's a 3-point home favorite. That tells you what they think of Buffalo.
Teddy, any thoughts there quick?
The look ahead line was Patriots -5. So that tells you where the Giants are power rated. Look, the Commanders open 10-point favorites over the Giants. That's where they're power rated right now. Their power rated is the worst team in the NFL. You can choose to disagree with that, but that's where they're power rated. Number 32 out of 32 teams.
Teddy covers. Let's keep moving. Edmonton playing Florida tonight. I was on the over in the Edmonton-Tampa Bay game, Bryan. I like the over here again. You got a team like Edmonton who can't stop a puck, and, they can score. Now they're playing the Panthers. Where are you going in this game?
There are 3 teams over the last 10 games, and I take a look at season stats. I also take a look at past 10 games to see if there's been any changes done. There's 3 teams that have underperformed their expected goals by 10% or more. One is San Jose. They've had that problem all year. We know what the problem with San Jose is. They just don't have very good offensive players on that team. The second was New Jersey. New Jersey has the offensive players, but they've been hurt a lot lately. The third is Edmonton. Edmonton has their guys. They have not lost guys because of injury, but let's face it, the best player on their team is clearly not 100%. And so when people are looking at Edmonton, sure that once they've made the firing of the coach, they won a couple games. But I faded them last time out, and they just don't have the personnel. They're so top-loaded on this team. They've got to have their top players playing very well, and they haven't yet this year. When I take a look at this game, the Panthers have a plus 20 net goal advantage on the season in this matchup, and that's despite the Panthers playing 10 of 17 games on the road. Edmonton, over the last 10 games, 5-on-5 play, have a goal for percentage of 44.74, expected goal percentage of 58.68. They're underperforming, and I'm really worried about that in this contest. Compared to the season-to-date numbers, Edmonton has improved about 2% in the last 10 games compared to earlier this year. They're playing a little bit better, but they're still not playing Edmonton hockey. Florida has a 56.76 goals for percentage, 53.55 expected goals percentage in the last 10 games in 5-on-5 play. They're outperforming a little bit, but still, if you take a look at the 53.55 expected goal percentage, that's pretty good. That's about the same when looking at season-to-date numbers. So you're getting Florida. They're playing basically what they've done all season. Edmonton's won 3 or 4 games of late, but the victories came against Seattle twice and the New York Islanders. Seattle has been a disappointment. New York Islanders, at least from my memory, have yet to win a road game this year. So those are teams that I'm not overly concerned about. Those two teams have been outscored on the season by 24 combined goals. So while Edmonton made the coaching change, they've got a couple wins, 3 out of 4. I'm not impressed with them. Florida returns from a 2-1 road trip with a loss coming to a very good LA Kings team. I had the Kings in that matchup. The Panthers have won 5 straight in this building. To me, this line should be priced about 130. We're getting them anywhere from I laid 107, and you can get them up to 115. But Florida's the better team, playing at home. The line's too cheap here.
Bryan Leonard. It's going to be a fun game to watch, Bry. I'm going to go to you for promotion, but first, I got to tell everybody it's Thanksgiving on Thursday in America. Happy Thanksgiving week to all of you people. We have a promo up, a Thanksgiving promo. We do this once a year. It is an excellent promo, and that is a 7-day all-access pass for only $69. That's under $10 a day, guys. So if you like what we used to do, our $9 Mondays, you can get $9 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. $69, no coupon code needed. Bryan, what do you have going for the clients?
Keep in mind, this is Thanksgiving weekend, so a lot of people will be sitting in front of their TVs looking to bet those games, and you won't have to worry about it by a whole week. It's a great deal. Right now, I've got 2 plays up in hockey, 1 play up in college basketball on today's card. I lean Kansas City, and I lean the under in the NFL game. Other than it was some bad losses last week, everything's going really well. Having a good time giving out all these games and lots of things to choose from as of right now. And I am really feeling good about hockey. Number 1 in the history of WagerTalk in net profit in the NHL. So, grab us, and I'm looking forward to a big weekend. No NHL tomorrow, unfortunately. In fact, no NHL on Thursday either. But there'll be plenty of games in between we can take advantage of.
Bryan Leonard, everyone. Thanks for joining us, Bry. And we won't see you this week, so have a happy, wonderful Thanksgiving. Seth S. writes, Prez, I have 2 teasers closing tonight with Philly at plus 8.5 and plus 9. I'm pretty much obligated to bet Kansas City money line and hope for a 1-score game, right? Wrong. Teddy and I have been through this 100 times. You are not obligated to bet Kansas City on the money line. Obligated is a very strong word. And frankly, I wouldn't bet KC on the money line regardless. I think you made that bet for a reason. You were happy with Philly at plus 8.5, plus 9. Let it roll, Seth. Let it roll. Sports Avenger likes the stash. Well, you're the only person. Teddy, it's time for your 6Bs.
Let's do it. A little bad beats, bad bets, and bad for the books. A recap of what just happened this past weekend. And oh boy, this was a fun one if you like bad beats. There were two multiples on Saturday. Iowa -3. They score the late touchdown. At least you get a push. Oops. They missed the extra point to win by only 2 against Illinois. Over money in that game, 30.5 up to 33. That was a bad bet. Another Hawkeyes under. So you had a bad beat and a bad bet in Iowa, Illinois. How about Mississippi State against Southern Miss? -14. They're bet up to -19 in that game. They won by 21, 41-20. That's bad for the books. They never led by more than the point spread until the pick six that sealed the game late in the fourth quarter. Yet Southern Miss plus the points even at the best of the number. That was a bad beat and bad for the books. How about Liberty -26? They're dominating. They control the game throughout. They're up 31 in the final minute. And then UMass with the bomb downfield, their second fourth quarter touchdown after getting blown out for 3 quarters. Final score 49-25. Liberty -26. No good. In the NFL yesterday, let's see. Last week, we talked about the Packers and the Steelers, and a missed extra point for Green Bay cost them a cover, and their clients a cover, or their backers a cover. They lost by a half point against the spread. Well, this week, it was the total for the Green Bay kicker. Total was 44. Another Green Bay missed extra point. Lands 43. That's the difference between a push and a loss, and that was a tough beat if you had the over in that ball game. How about the Cardinals and the Texans? That total was 48. It was 31 at halftime. And then what do we have? Second half, missed field goal, touchdown but missed 2-point conversion. 3 times Arizona stopped on downs in Houston territory. 2 Stroud interceptions deep in Arizona territory. 21-16 final, not a true bad beat, but it was a tough beat if you had the over in that one. And look, the Broncos -2.5 last night, not a bad beat. They were never covering at any point during the game. That said, losing against the spread on a missed 2-point conversion is never fun. Denver -2.5 wins by only 1. The single most important point spread play in football is the 2-point conversion. Unfortunately, there's no way to handicap it. When it comes to bad bets, let's see. Auburn got bet up on Saturday, -23.5 to -25. New Mexico State won straight up at Jordan Hare, and it wasn't close, 31-10. Auburn -25. You got the worst of the number. That's a bad bet. Tennessee took all the money against Georgia. Bulldogs with a 20-game winning streak. Now it's a 28-game winning streak. They were bet down from -10.5 to -8.5. Vols non-competitive in the second half again, just like the Missouri game the week before. They lost 38-10 to the Bulldogs. In the NFL yesterday, bad bets. Well, Dolphins -10 up to -14 against the Raiders. A 4-point move. You don't see that very often in the NFL. Nobody bet Oakland. Nobody bet Vegas. Everybody bet Miami. Pros and Joes, obviously 2013 finals. The Dolphins had attempted only 3 field goals in the last 7 games. They attempted 3 yesterday, and they needed them. The bad bet on Miami. When it comes for bad for the books, there were a bunch. Look, what happened yesterday, I'm going to talk about it in just a second, is unbelievably rare. I can't think of a day like it. There was one on Saturday that was really bad for the books. Texas Tech -3.5 to -1.5 against UCF. All the sharp money was on the Knights on game day. 24-23 final. So UCF got the money, and they took all the money in that game. But let's talk about the rarest of all situations, an NFL middle. There wasn't 1. There wasn't 2. There wasn't 3. There was legitimately 4 middles in the NFL in one day yesterday. I've been in Vegas. This is my 26th football season. I've never seen that before, not in the regular season, maybe in the preseason, not in the regular season. The Browns, they were -4 with Watson. Everyone took +4 with Pittsburgh. Then Watson's out, DTR's in. Line goes down to pick. Nothing but Cleveland money, bet up to -2. Well, guess what? Lots of Steelers bettors at +4. Lots of Brown bettors at pick, -1, -2. Cleveland wins last second field goal by 3. That's a legit middle. 49ers open -11, -11.5 against the Bucks. They closed -13.5, -14. They won 27-14. You bet them early, you cashed. You bet the Bucks late, you cashed. Legitimate middle. The Rams +1 to -2 against Seattle with Stafford ruled in, even though everyone knew Stafford was going to play when they hung the +1. LA wins 17-16. Another one lands in the middle. Yeah. Texans, Cardinals, Browns, 49ers, Rams. In one day, middles, NFL. That's very rare, and it's certainly not good for the books. A couple more bad for the books. The wise guys pounded the Bills last night, -7 up to -7.5 or 8.5. Jets got a touchdown and still lost 32-6. All the money came on the under in that game as well. That was bad for the books. And the Cowboys, who were on every parlay card and every public play yesterday, bet up from -10.5 against the Panthers. They won 33-10. Bad result for the books in general yesterday. I'm curious to see from some of the reports today how bad it actually was with 4 different middles hitting on sides in one day. We talk about handicapping skills yesterday in the NFL. It was a day for betting skills. If you bet well, didn't matter what side you had on 4 different ball games. Lawrence?
Teddy covers. I want to congratulate you, my brother. A nice, beautiful 4-0 Sunday in NFL. You've heated up. Congratulations. I don't know which 4 you played, but who cares? Nor does the
I didn't
bank.
play 4 in the NFL.
Oh,
I appreciate that. Yeah. I went 4-0 yesterday. There were NBA and NFL involved.
How did you do in NFL specifically?
I did 2-0 in NFL and 2-0 in NBA.
Nice. I had a shitty day at the Circa, 1-4 day, but I had a winning day for my clients. And that's all that matters. I had a 5% play on the Buffalo Bills. And man, I felt like there was never a moment in that game where I was nervous. Even when they were up only 6-0, 9-0, the window was still there for a touchdown. I felt like my handicap was perfect. I told everybody during the weekend, guys, when you're watching the show, listen in between the lines. That's where you get the best information, is in between the lines. Like I threw out, I like the over in the Florida-Edmonton game. Just a throwaway statement. Likely going to win. I mentioned bet New York Jets under team total. That was not a problem. I did have 2 tough beats yesterday, Teddy. I lost the San Fran over by 0.5 point. Freaking twice they're down at the goal line and couldn't get it in for me at the end there. And I lost the Houston over by, 300 interceptions. Tomorrow we're going to do Marketplace. I want to discuss the Houston Texans. Bryan Power joining us, everybody. Bryan, welcome to WagerTalk Today, my friend.
Always a pleasure to be here, guys. And I, in fact, did go 4-0 in the NFL. So Teddy and I, same record yesterday, but I concentrated on the NFL, and we're all happy, all friends here. And Prez, we all know the reason your 5% play was on the Buffalo Bills yesterday was because you listened to me and had them near the top of your power rating still, despite their recent run of form.
Guys, full disclosure, I don't do any of my own handicapping. I literally call Bryan 16, 20 times a day. I'm like, Bryan, Power, just say something. And he's like, but, and I'm like, Bill? No, but, Bill. And that's how it happened. There was a bad connection. I thought he said Bill. He did say but. Yes, Bryan, yes, that's the story. Bryan, I got something for you today.
Uh-oh.
And for all our listeners, guys, wagermerch.com. You can get our merchandise there. It comes with slogans. We sold a couple of Poker Dad shirts on Saturday. Anyway, I got a promo code for you guys to get 20% off. It's merch 20. So head over to wagermerch.com. Use the promo code MERCH20 for 20% off. You can only use it once, but you can use it on your entire order. So you can buy 100 things there, and all of it will be 20% off. This is an active code for the next little while, so take advantage of that. MERCH20. Bryan, we do have a hard stop, so I got to keep this show moving. We got a CBB game you want to talk about? I'll bugger off, Teddy. UCLA versus Marquette. -5.5 for Marquette. Where are you going?
Yeah, we're going to have to take a break from the football here because there is a tremendous field in this year's Maui Invitational. We're talking 5 of the top 11 in the Ken Pop ratings, as well as 3 of the top 4 in the AP poll. That's probably not likely to change when the new poll comes out later today. But Marquette, okay, you're looking, they're one of the top 4 in the AP. Not as high in Ken Palm, but They are one of the 9 teams in the country, guys, that is both top 20 in offensive and defensive efficiency. That's 8th offensively, 19th defensively, to be exact. Off to a 3-0 start are the Golden Eagles. They had a nice win their last time out. They go to Champaign-Urbana, beat Illinois 70-64. They're actually a 2-point dog in that game. Tyler Kolek, there was some concern he might not play because of an ankle injury. He played, scores 24 points on 10 of 18 shooting. So he should be ready to go, obviously, with all the rest. They haven't played in 6 days. And Kolek and Cam Jones, what you need to know about Marquette, that's probably on the short list of best backcourts in the country. It is not easy to win in Champaign-Urbana, guys. Illinois had previously won 10 straight at home against non-conference teams, 8 straight overall at home. And what impressed me is Marquette actually got off to a terrible start in that game. Missed their first 4 shots, a couple missed layups they had. They missed a pair of free throws early. Yep, they're still winning at halftime, and they won going away. UCLA, they have not played anybody. Their first 3 opponents, guys, all worse than 325th in the Ken Palm ratings. We're talking about St. Francis, PA, Lafayette, Long Island. UCLA has not covered the last 2 games. Now, granted, they were big favorites, but 14 turnovers against Long Island, 24% three-point shooting for the year, and they're only averaging 2 makes per game for the year from 3. I got to be honest, if you're not hitting the 3, I don't know how you could keep up with Marquette over the course of 40 minutes. I would play this up to 7. Marquette in the nightcap of the Maui Invitational. Got to stay up late if you want to watch this one. 11:30 tip time. Golden Eagles would be my lean in this one.
8:30 on the left coast. One more reason why it's always better to live in Las Vegas. I want to ask you conceptually here, because I haven't started my college basketball handicapping yet. I know a lot of guys do. I find November to be incredibly busy, and I always start the week after Thanksgiving. And the way I start, I do the same thing every year. I'm looking for teams that basically took a dump on their Thanksgiving Day tournament, and then they come back and they're better than they looked. Is that a strategy that you ever pay attention to when you talk about these Thanksgiving Day tournaments, or these Thanksgiving week tournaments, I should say? Do you look, once they're over, to be betting against some of the teams that look great and betting on some of the teams that looked awful? Or this early in the season, you want to be still betting against the teams that looked awful and betting on the teams that look great? Talk to me about your strategy.
Yeah, well, I've been on the show enough, Teddy. I think that whether it's Thanksgiving week or just a random week in the middle of July, I'm always kind of trying to compare where a team is at versus recent performance. Is that indicative of the big picture? So is there anything specific for college basketball? Not really specific. That's not something like that I make it a big point like you do, where it's like, well, I'm going to use this as my starting point, my point of entry. No, I don't do it. Obviously, I'm already handicapping these games. What I look at right now in college basketball is continuity from last year. And that's another thing I should mention with this Marquette-UCLA game. Marquette's a team that returns a lot of people. UCLA lost 4 of its 5 starters from last year. So I think that's something else I'd like to add why I like Marquette in this game. More continuity returning. This was a good team last year. UCLA still trying to find itself against a very good team.
Bryan Power joining us, everyone. Reminder, we've got an incredible Thanksgiving promotion up now, $69 for all 7 days. Bryan, what do you have going for the clients today and looking forward?
Yeah, got Monday night game. Like I mentioned, I am off a 4-0 NFL sweep on Sunday. I had the Ravens over their team total on Thursday as well. I wish they could all be that easy. One cashed before the end of the third quarter. So we're 5-0 in week 11. I think this is my favorite play for the week here on Monday night. Just as a reminder, last year in the Super Bowl, you guys talked about that earlier. I had a 5% on the Chiefs in that game. So I think I know how these teams match up pretty well. We'll be looking to cash again. Also have 3 NBA plays up. One is posted for free at my page. And it wasn't just yesterday we did well. I do want to mention I did lose the 5% play, obviously, on Saturday, Oregon State. That was a huge bummer. But overall, 20-9 the last 6 days. So while I hate losing the biggest play, and I would make that bet again if I could on Oregon State, I don't know why they didn't run the ball more, Teddy. But I'll take 20-9 over a 6-day span any day, any week. So feeling good, Prez, heading into feast week. where we
Brian,
have
we got to keep moving. I would have talked about Oregon, but we got to keep going. We got a big matchup this week between Ohio State and Michigan. How do we bet this?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the biggest games all week in any sport here. I don't need to tell you guys that. Winner going on to the Big Ten championship, where they'll be, what do you think, Teddy, about a 3-touchdown favorite over Iowa, no matter who wins this game, I would say.
Yeah, in that range.
Yeah, well, I love when we agree on our power ratings, Teddy. But as far as Ohio State and Michigan goes, look, what's interesting, you look at the series history here, 9 straight overs between these teams. Lots of scoring when Ohio State and Michigan are on the field against one another. But this year, we have the 2 top scoring defenses in the country. Ohio State allows 9.3 points per game. Michigan, just a hair better, allowing 9 points per game. Now, some of that is due to the fact that the vast majority of these Big Ten offenses absolutely stink. I mean, you're talking about some of the worst Power 5, not just Power 5 offenses in the country, some of the worst offenses, period, in the country, particularly in that West Division. But there's no denying the talent on both for both teams on the defensive side of the ball here. And you look at the quarterbacks in this game. Kyle McCord's no C.J. Stroud. I don't think there's any argument there. And J.J. McCarthy, the last 2 weeks, has attempted 32 passes total for 201 yards. Like in Penn State, anyone who watched that game remembers, Michigan ran the ball like 30 straight times. Their only pass attempt was a pass interference they drew. So McCarthy had no official pass attempts in the second half of that game. I don't think they can get away with that strategy here against Ohio State, Teddy. Ohio State's only allowing 3.3 yards per rush. So you look at the games where these two teams have taken on good teams, and that's a small sample size, okay? They both faced Penn State. What happened? Michigan wins 24-15. One of their TDs comes on a short field. They allow a garbage time touchdown late. Ohio State beat Penn State 20-12. They too allowed a garbage time touchdown. When the Buckeyes faced Notre Dame, that was a 13-10 final with the game-winning touchdown coming in the closing seconds. I think we see that 9-0 over streak come to an end Saturday at noon Eastern here. I think points are going to be at a premium between these two teams with it all on the line. Give me the under 46.5, Ohio State and Michigan.
Brian, the under is all yours, my friend. I haven't even started handicapping that game. Bryan Power, everybody, outstanding stuff. Thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving week, my friend. Teddy covers still lots more show. If guys want the daily presidential address, we only need a lot more likes. So please hit that like button. Brother, it's time for your big game breakdown, then Andrew McInnis.
Sure. Big game breakdown. Let's talk the Iron Bowl. 3:30 Eastern Time, 12:30 Pacific on Saturday. CBS National TV affair. Alabama and Auburn. Right now, look at the WagerTalk Live odds screen. Minus 14.5 / minus 15 for Alabama on the road. Total sitting at 49. And look, remember when Bama lost to Texas and they played that sluggish game the following week at USF? I remember. They've been undervalued ever since. 4-0 straight up and against the spread their last 4. 8-0 straight up, 7-1 against the spread their last 8. You know, remember when Jalen Milroe struggled early on the highway? Well, the last 3 road games, he won at A&M, he hung 49 in Kentucky, and 40 in Cowbell Land in Starkville. Now, we've seen Alabama destroy Auburn at home. They covered minus 21.5, minus 25.5, minus 25, all easy in Tuscaloosa the last 3 meetings. The last 3 meetings here in Auburn, let's see, Auburn was a 20.5-point dog, 24-22 final in 2021. 2019, Auburn won outright as a dog. 2017, Auburn won outright as a dog. Biggest margin of victory, 2 points. So the games in Tuscaloosa, blowouts. The games in Auburn, not so much. Now we have Bama with this huge betting bandwagon. They've been winning, covering. Auburn has absolutely no betting bandwagon right now. They no-showed against Jerry Kill last week. Hugh Freeze had problems with Jerry Kill at Liberty, too. He lost the previous year 3 touchdown favorites, and obviously this past weekend was ugly if you had the Auburn Tigers. But one of the things I like to do is back a team off an embarrassing home loss with a chance at redemption the next week. They tend to rally really, really hard. Okay. Auburn's offense stinks. Their defense is good, really good. Ole Miss, they were in that game, lost by a touchdown, gave up 28 to Ole Miss. Against Georgia, they were in that game, only gave up 27 points to Georgia, lost by a touchdown. They'll lose this one by a touchdown. Sounds about right. Too many points. Give me Auburn plus the points on Saturday in the Iron Bowl. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy covers. What a week of college football we've got in front of us. Let's get to Andrew McInnis, everybody. And Andrew just asked me a question on Slack. NHL or NFL first? Andrew, we're going to go to NFL first. You've got a prop bet for us. Welcome to WagerTalk Today. Let's hear what we should bet on this game tonight.
Great to be here with you guys. Excuse me. Great to be here with you. Look, good to have an actual NFL game that's not going to just soar under the total. Hopefully, anyway, we can see at least an exciting game. Looking at Rashee Rice over 43.5 receiving yards here. This Eagles team, look, they are number 1 against the run, but number 29 in the league against the pass. And I expect the Kansas City Chiefs receivers to be out and having great games tonight. Rashee Rice has gone over this number in 3 of last 4 games. In fact, last game, he did not really have his best one he's had over the past few weeks, but he led the team in snaps, which is, really important to me looking at guys that are out there. Obviously, targets are important as well. He's getting 4, 5, or 6 over his last handful of games. And this Eagles team, they do a good job of locking down the number 1 guys. And I expect kind of the secondary options to be utilized. And after Travis Kelce, Rice has kind of been that secondary option for Patrick Mahomes. So at 43.5, I feel like we're getting some value there. He had kind of an off week last week, but 3 weeks before that, he surpassed this by more than 10 yards. And I feel like it's a big one for him. This Eagles team is great against the run, but against the pass, I think they suffer a little bit here. I'll take Rice over 43.5.
Yeah, Prez begging me to ask for 8 more likes so we can do his presidential address today. I want to ask you.
Because I'm not going to
Andrew,
do it without him.
Andrew, it seems like a prevailing theme here on Monday nights where people come on the show and want to give out overs. Doesn't matter what it is, over this, over that, over the other. We have a historical season of unders in the NFL this year. We have every sharp dollar in this game pouring in on the under in this ball game, but you're coming up with an over. Tell me why.
Hey, the last time I was on here, I told you that there were people coming after me for not giving out enough unders, and I cashed one, so I was happy to get that. But no, you're right. Of course. I mean, these primetime games especially, it's not really games you've want to bet, but there's a reason why I'm not taking a guy with a number like 75 yards or 80 yards. And I know people love Travis Kelce and some of the big names. In fact, Teddy, you know who I would take the under on tonight? A.J. Brown. And I feel like that's kind of a hold your breath type of play with how he's been performing lately. But I think some guys with those big numbers like Brown might go under. But I love this 43.5 for a guy that's getting the ball a lot. He's out there for all kinds of snaps. And like I said, he's really kind of growing with that chemistry with Mahomes. So it's a great point, but I like Rice's game right now.
Andrew McInnis. You got a bet for us on the Vancouver-San Jose game. The Canucks are minus 365. You have 1 minute to tell us how we bet on a game that is so lopsided.
Yeah, I mean, I could just drop the mic and say take the Canucks minus 300, but I'm sure everybody probably wouldn't want to join me on that one. So how about the first period minus a half goal at minus 115? This is the 3-way first period line here. And people always wonder, is it going to be a flat spot? Is it going to be a spot that Vancouver and some of these teams that are playing a team like the Sharks will not get up for? But the Canucks have dropped 2 straight games. After a huge winning streak, I believe they will be focused. The last time they played the Sharks, they scored 10 goals, guys. And this Sharks team, their defense has not gotten much better. And in fact, it's a huge difference in the split for them at home versus on the road. They haven't scored more than 2 goals away on the year so far. And in fact, they're 0-7 ATS and 0-7 straight up on the highway this season. I believe the Canucks are focused, they're motivated, and they will take advantage of a very, very poor defense that is the San Jose Sharks. So with these first period plays, I usually look for plus money, but the fact that we're going from a minus 300 to a minus 115, I think it's a pretty good way to bet this game. So I'll take the Canucks here, minus a half goal here, Prez.
It's a genius way to bet this game, and I'm going to make that bet, Andrew. What do you got to promote?
Yeah, 2 more prop plays, and one of them actually is an under, so you can grab that in my package at WagerTalk.com, and I also have a best bet up in the NHL, but that play I just gave you will be a client play. Andy and Teddy have been kind of going back and forth, especially Andy, about keeping it simple. It's time to fade these bad teams in the NHL, Prez. I think I've only faded the Sharks like twice this year. I'm going to keep on doing it.
Andrew McInnis, everyone. Thanks for joining us, my brother. Teddy, we got over 125 likes. It's time for the daily presidential address. Okay, everybody. I really need that music. It's absolutely crucial. It gets me in the mood. Anyway, I'm going to give out. I'm going to give out 3 NHL bets for tonight. But first, I got to tell you all, we had a winning day Sunday. We had a winning day Saturday. Things are good in the world of the Prez. My NFL is going strong, and I have 1 NFL play up in tonight's game. I also am on a perfect 7-0 first half run in the NBA. Actually, it's 7-0 this season in first half NBA bets. I've got an NBA bet up tonight. I'm on a 7-1 NHL 4% total run. I got one of those up tonight. I'm on a 13-5 NBA money line run. I got one of those up tonight. I'm on a 4-1 college basketball run. I got one of those up tonight. So yeah, big night, big runs all over the place. Okay, as we get into our 3 free bets tonight, I mentioned at the top of the show, I like Florida and Edmonton to go over the total of 6.5. I love Dallas here against the red-hot New York Rangers. Dallas up 3-0 against Colorado and ended up losing 6-3. Great spot to bet them. And Andrew McInnis gave me a bet that I want to give to you. He did it on this show. Vancouver minus a half goal in the first period on the 3-way line. Take that. Great show, Teddy. It's 12:44. Take us home.
Shoot, that's going to wrap it for the Monday edition of Wager Talk Today. Stay tuned on this same Wager Talk TV channel for quality programming all day, including the NFL opening line report at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, just at the top of the hour. Prez and I will be back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Between now and tomorrow's show, enjoy the games and best of luck with all your wagers.